Yeah, so thank you for joining us today, everybody here. So I'm really happy to sort of see, we've been trying to do more of these sessions. So we did a survey recently, and sort of marketing and support around marketing has come up as sort of a priority area for a lot of folks. And I think when it comes to how to leverage AI, this is such a fast moving topic that it's one that we hope to sort of be able to revisit over and over again. Even I think since we even put together the kind of discussion for when this was going to happen, things have changed already in the kind of tools available for people, and how to use them. So I'm really excited to have this duo here today to talk about this and really sort of give you kind of really practical suggestions about how to use this as well. So thank you everybody for joining us, and enjoy the presentation.
Thanks, Mike.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
If you haven't met us yet, I'm Phil, and
I'm Kenny.
And that's Kenny. We're gonna move pretty quick because I want to be able to show you. Really, we've built the tools that we're going to use. So we're going to talk about AI a little bit because we do need to talk about how you protect yourself, how you think about these tools. So that'll be important for us to do. When we share this with you, there's a whole bunch of like background slides that you'll see me kind of like power through. And they're really like when you go back and read them, there's a ton of like explainer stuff that, to be honest, you'll find on the internet. People will talk about that stuff. If at any moment you have questions about it, we can stop. But our goal here is to kind of get you through a few of these things so we can show you practically how we use these things. The short version, I am a fractional CMO. The reason I teach this, one, I love tech. You'll see I'm an early adopter in a whole bunch of things, and I continue to do that, which I do because I love it, and it also confuses Kenny, both of which bring me joy. And then two is, I use these tools all the time. So the four I'm going to show you today, I use them all the time. So I use them for communication. I use them for writing. I use them to make my life easier. There's one tool in here that I figure saves me 2 to 3 hours for every podcast that we do. Kenny and I do a podcast called This Commerce Life. Yeah. So it's pretty compelling stuff. So we want to make sure we get you across that. Do you want to?
Oh, so my world is more. I've been in retail for 45 years. My world is more on the COO side. Like I'll do fractional work on that side. I help people more with the operations, trying to make sure you make money, that kind of fun stuff. And Phil and I, like you said, we've been doing this podcast now for 8 years. We're in our 8th year, pretty much solely focused on small to medium-sized Canadian businesses. We love Canadian. We have neighbors to the south who are really good at telling the world what they do so great. We do more great than they do. We're just not great at telling people how great we are. So we like to do that side. With this, what you'll find, I'll stop them periodically because there's times where I think he forgets, that he geeks out. But normal people, I'll call myself normal, which is a stretch, but normal people may not 100% get it. I do use the AI tools he talks about to some degree. Some of them I don't do. I let him do. But I think you're going to be if you don't use AI right now, you're going to by the time we're done this thing. Like you really will. The time saving that you will get out of these tools is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Especially now that he's going to trim them down, and you're not going to hunt the world to figure out which one you want. Yeah. He'll kind of show you the ones that make the most sense.
Okay. So last things, you'll see me kind of look to the left. One is because I've got a second screen just so I can kind of see what I'm doing and I can keep an eye on you guys. And then literally getting used to this, but I'm in the same room with Kenny. And so every now and then.
So if I do this, it's because I'm trying to see what he's got on the screen,
he's right there. So there are moments. So if I look left, it's not because I'm disrespecting you or I'm not paying attention. It's because Kenny's distracting me or there's something going on. So okay. So let's get going. So practical AI for small business is what we're going to do. Everyone is talking about AI, right? So everybody talks about AI. Everybody uses it. But what we found, and the reason we do this session is because almost nobody tells you what they're using or how they're using it, right? So when you kind of ask, everyone goes, oh, I'm using ChatGPT, and that's about it, right? And you kind of go, Is that it? So my whole life is asking a robot questions, right? Is that what I'm supposed to do, right? So we're going to show you a bunch of tools. We're going to show you how to think about this and then how to do this. Somebody's got their hand up, I think.
I think that's perfect pierogies.
Oh, perfect
For a while,
pierogies. Do you have your
somebody-
hand up, or you're kind of waving to say hello? No? Okay. Okay. Does anyone does anyone use AI now at all? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And what do you guys
use?
what do you guys use? You can either type it or shout it out. We don't
Whatever you
care. Whatever you like.
So I've recently started using it just around trends and sort of looking at like taking a bunch of documents and just sort of looking for some key trends and analysis in there, and then being able to then kind of compare that against what I'm hearing and whatnot. So kind of help synthesize, and that's fairly recent. I used it, I would say, like when it first came out, I used it and was not impressed. Was just sort of like, this is gimmicky with ChatGPT. And then recently it seems to have kind of improved a little bit more in terms of that ability to do the analysis around like specifically ChatGPT when I dump in the data itself. So I think that's where it's become the most useful. I find it's actually more useful than say like a Google search or something like that, because you can be very, very specific with the prompts.
Totally. Yep. No, that's a great, it's a great use, right? Like AI can definitely be used to kind of shortcut learning and those sort of things. Meeting notes is definitely great. There's a whole bunch of them. Read AI is out there. We use MeetGeek. There's, kind of a whole bunch of these that are really, really great. And then you're right, like searching emails regulations. So I like that. This is great. So some key takeaways. We're going to show you some examples of how to use generative AI. So writing emails, searching regulations, creating phrases, or kind of editing is all generative AI. And then we'll show you a couple that will hopefully help you transform some of the things that are real pain points for you guys. So so what we're going to also do is show you how to build safeguards around AI, because AI is one of these things that it gets more and more useful, but we want to make sure that one, they improve your efficiency, help you drive productivity, but then two, that you know how to keep yourself safe or relatively safe while you're using this tool. So kind of a big deal. We're going to give you kind of a demo of four tools in particular: Word Hero, Wordplay, Recast, and Lumen. And then I just put at the bottom, I don't use ChatGPT, I use Claude. And what you'll find is as you go through this, as you're using ChatGPT, you'll realize that at some point, stylistically, or the way the GPT, the generative pre-transformer, isn't giving you quite the information the way you want it. So I'll kind of walk through the term, but you'll start to find this is kind of like right now, ChatGPT is like the only car, if you will. But what you'll start to find is, I prefer Toyota, I prefer Honda, I prefer Ford or GM. And so you'll start to hear terms like, I like Claude better, right? Like, I don't like ChatGPT. And that's just because we've chosen stylistically to use different interfaces that come out of the same learning database. Okay. So we'll talk about that too. First things first. So a couple of pros and cons to using AI. Pros, it's available all the time. So if you're an entrepreneur, we don't really work on schedules. We kind of work all the time. We're thinking about things all the time, right? Like the noggin's always going. Ideas come best in the shower or in between deliveries, or you're driving around, you're thinking about things, or you're in the middle of making something and then you think about something else. So AI is really helpful because you can ask it questions anytime you want. When you've got employees, you have to do clumsy things like let them go home and sleep and see family and feed them. All these things, AI is around all the time. It can be really useful for completing repetitive, tedious tasks, right? And that leaves you to do other things. The example I'll give you is I was with a brand. We went to a trade show. The iPad that they were using, the cable that we were using to charge it was faulty, and we ran out of battery, right? And we were using that to acquire people's emails, right? So, you know, being the natural people with ingenuity that we are, we started giving out Post-it notes, going, write your name down here, and we'll put you in our database. Well, great. We ended the show. We had 1,200 of these sticky notes of chicken scratch, kind of assorted means of people writing down emails, and so the team started typing these in. But if you think of that, and you spend, let's say you're really fast at it, you take a minute a Post-it note, 1,200 Post-it notes is 1,200 minutes, right? So you kind of go, oh my gosh, right? Like, this is going to take us forever, right? And then hopefully I didn't get it wrong. Where do I keep it just in case I got one letter wrong? Those sort of things, right? And so AI is a great tool for that. Whether you use ChatGPT or you use the AI that's built into your phone, we started taking pictures and using, the handwriting recognition, right? So all of a sudden, taking a picture takes 10 seconds, right? So you're taking 1,200 10-second tasks and letting the AI do the work of like recognizing the handwriting or sorting it out as best as possible and then logging it somewhere, right? So all of a sudden, it isn't a brain power job, but it is a highly manual job that we've now given to the robot because it's repetitive and they can do the task, right? So that frees you up time. So that's kind of like a good example of where you do want to use something like this because it's highly repetitive, okay? It also identifies patterns or better workflows to create efficiency. So you'll know from ChatGPT, it likes to keep history of what you asked for, so that when you go back in there, if you ask for stuff that tags onto your old history, it'll try and iterate on what you're searching for so that you get to an answer quicker, which is awesome. So you don't have to retell the story 18 times, right? So those are kind of the pros. The cons, it does lack human emotion. It lacks some critical thinking, which means you do need to fact check. You do need to make a human touch, right? So things that you'll notice with the older versions of GPT, when you write a blog article, the beginning will always start with, join us as we delve into the world of Japanese baking, right? Like, and you kind of go, nobody talks like that, right? Nobody says that. But the AI tool before wouldn't know that, right? So, and the same, when you finish it and you go, in conclusion, pierogies are the best thing on the planet, you should be eating, right? And you go, again, nobody talks like that, right? We don't say that. So when you recognize that, it's an AI tool. So those moments are ones that we have to be able to put our there's so you got to be able to put your human touch on it, okay? So AI needs to be constantly fed new data. So the con here is, if you are in here and you are creating something new in a white space, AI doesn't have, if you've made a new innovative product, AI won't have data on what your product is. It'll find you something adjacent or the closest thing it can relate to, but new products won't have anything that you can get out of AI. Okay. And then finally, AI development, it can be expensive. Trying to figure out what tools work for you requires, some time. And then depending on how you protect yourself, it can be expensive. So, so some cons here. Let me just kind of, and then the other thing that we always like to point out is AI results are always based on probability, right? Because this is a machine going out and doing learning and then finding patterns and, kind of recognizing trends and similar patterns. And so it can be wrong, right? Shockingly enough, right? So it's still up to us to be able to do that. You can't task AI to do something and not validate, right? So trust but validate is kind of like everything else an entrepreneur has to do, is trust but validate. Okay. And then finally, there's no lens on ethics, and there's no lens on what is appropriate or inappropriate in AI. So it will pull what it can find. And so that is up to you to kind of make sure that you are relaying messages properly, or that you're not stepping into quagmires, ethical quagmires, or all those kind of correctness things that you've got to think about when you're communicating with audiences.
Which is the 10-80-10. The real fixes.
Yeah. So this leads us to what we kind of say this, we do this. There's a 10-80-10. The first 10, you do all the thinking. It's a human thing. Okay. So if you don't think about what you want to ask, the tool, it's kind of garbage in, garbage out, right? So it'll take you way more queries to get what you want. Make sure you're thinking about what you would like the outcome to achieve and what it could look like. Once you've got that, throw it in there, get the machine to do the work for you. So make it do the 80%, right? But when it comes back out the other side, the last 10 is you. Finish it. Make sure it sounds like you, right? Perfect Pierogies and the bakery, you both have, I looked at both your about pages. There's a way that you sound. If you throw, marketing text into an AI tool, it won't sound like you. It'll sound like, a robot, right? And so you'll need to soften the edges. You'll need to change the words. If you do say in conclusion, you got to make sure that people actually know that you do say in conclusion, right? You'll have to figure out what that sounds like. Okay. The other thing that we want you to do is to protect your work. So Kenny and I are cheap bastards. We like free. We always like free. Anytime that we can get free or the cheapest version, we do. But a few things. One is, if you have confidential information. So if you have, this is not really a thing, but let's say you have an original recipe that you don't want anyone to have, don't put that into ChatGPT unless you paid for a version, right? So free software equals free trade of knowledge. That's kind of how the equation works these days. So every time you use a free tool, you are giving away what you are working on. Okay?
Because they gave you help.
That's right. That's the trade for services, right? So if you are going to do this, what you really want to do, if you're going to use it for confidential things, make sure you buy a monthly version or a monthly license so that you can keep confidential information confidential. A really great example of this would be something that you would think is innocuous. You have a legal document. It could be something simple like I'm talking to a new distributor or a new broker and I want to read the legal agreement, but God, it's like 40 pages and I don't have time for this. Let's scan it, chuck it into GBT and give me a summary, right? Most of that may be fine. And quite frankly, they might have generated the same contract out of, another GBT, but your confidential information is in there. Make sure you hide it and make sure that you do kind of keep it confidential. The other thing is, if you're in GBT, the other thing that you can contribute. So if you want to contribute to the larger AI society, you can. Usually what we do is we tell everyone to turn off the learning setting, which is what absorbs all your information into the large learning model. So I kind of, this GIF here is exactly that, but I also left you the path at the bottom. The only warning is software, it changes. Right? Yeah, everybody has it. So if you have a free version, you will find there's a setting that is something like improve the model for everyone, which makes you feel like you're doing something good. But what it means is anything you type in there is shareable and is going into the large learning model. Okay. All right. So
it really comes down to, like, be careful if you're going to use it a lot and you're going to do a lot of stuff that you may not necessarily want to be shared everywhere. Because remember, what these systems do is they take all the information we all put into the internet and try to find it. So if we want to be secretive, either get a paid version or just be careful what you load. Just understand that free means I give it this, it spits information back, fair trade.
Yeah.
That's how it looks. And the other thing, like I think what Phil, we always tell people, we're not trying to get AI to do the baking and do the selling. AI should be cleaning the dishes and sweeping the floors.
Yeah.
That's what you want AI to do. The true tasks that the knowledge is between our two ears, that's ours. That's the human side. We want to do that. We want great bakers. We want great salespeople. We want all that cool stuff. We just don't want to have to sweep the floors, clean the dishes, all that task work. AI's task work, or how we look at it, right, is trying to do that. Make sure the human component side stays on the true value of your businesses, not the everyday stuff per se, or menial stuff, for lack of a better.
You're going to get this deck after, so we left some reminders in here because safety really is important. So safety first. We've talked about all these bullet points, so I'm not going to cover them. But as you get this deck, just the reminder is always keep it safe, keep it safe, keep it safe. The one thing is, if you do have employees, Forbes thinks that almost half of the workforce uses an AI tool now, but they don't want to tell their employers they're using it, either because they don't want to lose their jobs, they want to look smarter, they want to spend more time golfing and not working. It doesn't matter what the reason is, but like they think over half, right, is using this. And so if you do have employees that are working on laptops and using your proprietary information, you want to think about this as more than likely half of them are using AI, and then you're not able to govern what they're using AI for. So again, let's just use, for the sake of it, a secret sauce that you have that you do not want on the internet. Make sure that at least your employees are across the idea of, don't put that stuff, into, the example I'll give here is, I teach at a local college. I have students that are applying for PR and things like that. And they are, some of them, English is not their first language. So they're sticking their documents into, GPT so it can read it and summarize it for them. And you think, gosh, don't do that. All your confidential information is in there. It's spread out all over these kind of PR documents, and they're loading them in there. And now they're kind of part of the cloud and they're part of the world, right? So there are all these things that you may or may not know is happening. So just keep an eye out, think about this. If you have more than 1 or 2 employees, you may want to think about an enterprise version or some sort of paid version for everybody.
Like Michael and Jennifer, you guys, specifically, if you got 4 or 5, 6 staff members, ideally you should be all using the same license, because you don't want each of you trying to protect your jobs or that fear of, and using a free version or other versions, and now your stuff is like all over the place.
But we're going to move on. We don't want to sow disparity between Michael and his group. So we're
just making sure the two of them are on the same page, man. It's all about the same page.
So these next bits, when you get this deck, there are some useful reading links in here. It kind of turns you on to the AI conversation for real. This skips past all the kind of basic stuff that you normally get. I leave you some history in here about how long, because AI has actually been around a very long time. The breakthroughs really happened kind of 2011 to 2020 when the deep learning stuff really started to go. And then we're kind of in this age where generative AI, which is, we learned that we've taught the computer we've taught the AI tool how to actually figure out how to generate us information that we want, right? Which is kind of why this is all very fun. I also have left some really fun stuff in here. There's some folks in here that are really interesting. If you ever want to watch a real life soap opera, Sam Altman and Elon Musk have an ongoing feud, and Donald Trump just kind of talked about how much he doesn't like Sam Altman. So it's a real life drama. It's really great, but if you're not interested, no worries. There are a bunch of AI researchers and companies you should know about. And the only fun fact I'll tell you is Hatsune Miku. If you've never heard of Hatsune Miku, I actually don't know how to I don't know what the pronoun is for Hatsune Miku, because they are an AI generated character that only exists in AI. So, but the last concert that Hatsune Miku had 150,000 people attending. So just, kind of put that in your hat and smoke it for a second. AI is in our world and kind of moving around. I left you some things. I've talked about generative AI, left you the definition. Large learning model is important because it is the database, if you will, that everything gets dumped into. So the biggest one out there right now is the one being run by OpenAI, run by that guy, Sam Altman. And then, and it's kind of where all your information goes. So if you do not turn off the help everybody else learn, your stuff is going into the OpenAI LLM, right? And so that's kind of the big pool. And then what they do is they attach a generative pre-trained transformer, a GPT, on top of it so that we can use it, right? So you're not mathematically pulling stuff out of the LLM. Okay, so LLM at the bottom, GPT on top, us, or I don't know, you might want to think about I don't know which way you want to do it, but it doesn't matter. So, and so GPT is the transformer that translates what we say into a language that we can pull information from the LLM from. That leads to GPT-3 or 3.5. This is the one that kind of like broke things open. Everyone started going. And so you heard Michael talk about it. Mike talk about it in the beginning about how he started using it and it seemed a little comical. And that's because 3 and 3.5 was very much like, you know, kind of like imagine you learning a totally different language, right? So, you know, and then these are the first days of you learning how to say hello. You know, please, could I have a coffee in a totally different language, right? And then the people at the coffee bar laugh at you. Not that that's ever happened to me. You know, and then 4, which released in March 2023, really kind of like changed that, right? So it wasn't, hi, may I have a coffee? It was, hi, I'd really like a coffee. Could you please put some milk and sugar in it? And I'd like it for here or to go, right? So some sophistication. You know, it started to learn what we do say, what we don't say, how we say it. So you start dropping things like join us as we delve into the world of. They learn that, you know, kind of rolling into a sentence is totally okay to do. You know, so those sort of things. And then now we're into GPT 4.1, which is the equivalent of being able to walk in and say, I'd like a cappuccino, I'd like a macchiato, I'd like a cortado, as opposed to, please, could I have a coffee? Okay. So the sophistication has really kind of ramped up. You know, the 3.5 to 4 took us almost 18 months. From 4 to 4.1, it took us, you know, kind of like less than a year. Okay. So it's starting to really come about. The reason I show you this is when you use your AI tool, you want to know what version you're using, right? Because the higher the version, the less clumsy the text, the less clumsy the research. So it's important to know what you're kind of, you know, this is the, what kind of car am I driving? How fast is it? You know, what can I do with it, sort of thing. Okay. I have left this here just to show you that the tools that we're using, so ChatGPT is the biggest amongst the AI tools, but there are quite a few other ones in here that, you know, are kind of taking off. This map is the most succinct map I've been able to find, but transparently it's starting to change already, right? Because this is the Wild Wild West. There are lots of kind of companies doing this. Folks like Midjourney, I suspect that they're much larger than they used to be. You know, so some of these guys are analytic tools. So Midjourney is a really great analytic tool that starts to tie your data together, tie your stuff together, you know, and kind of help you figure out analytics and things like that. Civitai is another one over here in the corner. And then there's some really cool tools like CapCut and things like that that are, if you've ever used it on your phone, it's really great for stitching, you know, social media or, you know, long clips into short clips that you can use in social media when you're videoing and things like that.
So each pulls from OpenAI's
correct.
LLM in a different
That's
manner.
right. That's
so
right.
That's what you got to look at.
I'm really proud he figured that out.
I've done this enough times now.
Yeah.
Even I'm getting. So
Yeah,
seriously,
yeah,
you guys, if I can get this, man, you guys are going to kill this. But that's sort of what it is. So all these sit on top of the large learning model, and each will pull based on what they want to do. So let's say one person said, listen, we don't care about just pulling cool blog things. It's all analytics. So you'll use that one because that's its specialty or whatever it is.
Right.
But that's sort of how the process works. So they all sit on top of OpenAI, and then they specialize on how they pull process data, how we would potentially use it, etc. Some do a lot of the same things like ChatGPT, Word Hero, Wordplay that you're going to see all function in the same manner, just some nuances within and some things you'll like and you won't like. That's sort of what it is, right?
Yep. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So there's a few things here. So I'm going to do some demos. So the 4 that I've picked, 2 of them, Word Hero, Wordplay, are writing tools. And so where you kind of think of this is they're a little bit different than GBT, because GBT, you kind of ask things, right? You know, write me an article or whatever. But when you get into these tools, it's more about iteration. And so sometimes that's really important to us, right? So, you know, and so I find that these tools are really great. And then what I like about these is they stay in line with the marketing that you've done. So if you have if you have a vision or a mission that you should be following, or if you know who you are, what you do, why you do it, and who you do it for, kind of the 4 key questions that we always ask people, all of a sudden, these 2 tools allow you to do some really cool things with. So I'll show you, I think what I'm going to do, let me just jump here. So I'm going to just stop sharing for a second. I want to share an entire window with you so that I can kind of move around and not have to
Yeah.
Can you guys still hear us?
Now you can, right? He's frozen for some reason, and he's the wrong person to freeze. Freezing me is okay. Freezing Phil is no good. No good at all.
I thought you guys were in the same room.
Yeah, they can hear me. I don't know if they want to hear me, but they can definitely hear me. Are you rebooting? The only thing is I can't hear anybody now because I've got them on mute because of that speaker.
That's okay. Just unmute for a second.
Okay. So I'm on. I can hear you guys now. Just give us a second. I think for whatever reason he went to another screen and it didn't like the move.
Didn't like what I did. So let me just make sure.
I think you angered the world.
All we know, just so we're all clear, I didn't break the internet this time. He did it. It's usually me, and it's usually a panic email to him. It's literally, I broke the internet.
Okay, now you can.
Okay, I'm back off.
So sorry.
Phil fixed the internet.
I don't know if anybody else, but I can't hear. I can see.
Yeah,
I can't hear.
I can't
Phil
hear.
either.
Okay, wait. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, good.
Okay, yay. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to grab some of Yuka's text here. So I'm just going to grab, like, now I have a new dream. I'm going to grab all of this. Okay, so I'm going to grab this. And so here's where I think these tools are a little bit more superior to like a GBT or kind of a query-based system. Is Word Hero looks like this, and Word Hero kind of does like a million different things. So Word Hero, hi Phil, would you like to write? And then it kind of gives me like a million things. So let's say Yuka wanted to be on Amazon. I could use Amazon. Oh, I was doing I was trying this with Callister Craft Sodas here in BC. But let's say you wanted to write Amazon product descriptions, you could. Or let's say I want to do something a little bit different. So let's say I want to do
Let's just start with the basic sort of blog. Like one blog.
Here. Let's do this. So I'm going to try a copywriting formula, which is, to create pain, agitate, and solution. So kind of very standard ad writing or copywriting sort of stuff, right? So a copywriter would kind of use this step so that you could kind of like, create a moment where somebody would go, well, why do I want to come to Yuka's Bakery? So we're going to put this in here. So I've just copied and pasted your stuff in here, and you'll see it's quite short. So, I'm just going to, okay, I'm going to just take out this last line so it's not hanging.
The pain I would be this. I don't want to bake cookies because it drives me crazy. Where can I buy cookies? That's sort of what the concept is. So what this will do is it'll work within Yuka's world of, it'll create a pain, it'll agitate us, and then it'll say, here's the solution of going to where you're going.
So this is like a real life demo, right? So literally that took us like 10 seconds. And then it's kind of created this copy. Are you tired of the same old baked goods that lack flavor and creativity? Do you find yourself disappointed by overly processed treats that leave you unsatisfied, right? So, and then, kind of the next year.
Japanese pastry at this bakery.
Right. So kind of cool because it is iterative in the sense that I can direct it, right? So if I was doing this in GPT, I'd actually have to be thinking about this writing format for me to say, please write it in a manner in which it creates this kind of PAS format, right? Or if you had a human copywriter would go, you know what, Yuka, this might be a great way to go about it, right? But here, what I find with this tool is it allows you to be able to do that and then kind of create all sorts of copy. I can go in
Back to
here.
that for a second,
Yeah.
because we go back to the 1080, 10.
Yeah.
Because if you read that, the 10% is I know what I want to do. I want to create this pain agitate solution. I get it. That's my 10%. I'm going to do this by going into Yuka's about, because she's pretty clear on what she is and what she does. Plop that in. 80% cranks out. Now the 10 would be is, join us on the sweet journey. I don't talk that way. I think that's stupid. I'm going to talk about whatever. It's you going in and say, okay, at least I didn't have to do all this work. Now I'm going to write this the way I talk.
Or shorten it or abbreviate it.
Whatever you want. But at least it gives you the framework that would have taken you maybe 2 hours by the time you went into all the brain dead spots because we can't think of what to write. Now it's just really an edit. Just because I'm going to show people that's how you should use AI. If you notice, Yuka's what was the beginning. That's what she's saying she is. AI does whatever AI does, and then now we spend that other 10 minutes or 10% and say, okay, let me clean this up so now it sounds like me. Maybe I'll take some words out. I don't like, are you tired of the same or whatever. That's up to you, but at least your framework is there.
I like this too because you can, if you're writing product benefits, so if you're on Amazon, like A+ copy is always a thing. So being able to write proper copy, this will help you kind of do that. It even has Pinterest title and descriptions if you want to be able to post in Pinterest. So all of a sudden, I like this because if you land on copy you like, so for example, that's in your about and you're happy with it, you could take that to turn this into all sorts of things. If you are, where's the content? I could even make a poem out of Yuka's about page.
We've never done that one.
No, I know, but we won't for the moment. If you're trying to do search engine optimization, you can plug it into a keyword generator, which will then go away and send you, here's a bunch of words that you need to generate online traffic to. Okay, so Word Hero is really great. I like it because one, I'm going to tell you why I like it, because it helps you calibrate to whether it's right for you. I like it. I'm a writer. I start with copy that I'm thinking about. I don't need to refine it. What I need to do is kind of give it the best benefits or the intellectual property that I want, like the things that I think are interesting, and then let Word Hero kind of bring me the tactics of how to kind of make this thing come alive. Okay. So that's Word Hero. The other one, Wordplay. Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
So when you're using a site like this, will it go out into the world, or is it protected? So does that mean you have to pay to use Word Hero?
So you can use it free. We use a paid version, so it will go out into the LLM and pull things back. But what I search for and what I write in here won't go out. You're right. So if you pay for a version, it'll kind of, so if you're using this to rewrite things internally or whatever, you should have a paid version of this. That would be the right way to do that, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
The other way, so if I kind of go into Wordplay.
Well, he knows that. I think one thing I would do, because I'm not the geeky like him, we're going to end up using AI somewhere. All of us, right? Especially if we start getting into the marketing copies and all the things that we maybe aren't great at doing. Ultimately, I try a bunch of free, and one I really like, I would just probably get to the point where I do a paid version. Because ultimately, we're going to use something. You're really, in the next couple of years, I don't think any of us are going to be able to avoid AI to some degree. Whether we like it or not is a whole different issue and argument. But realistically, if you try Wordplay and you try what he's got low like a Word Hero, you pick the one you like. If you really feel like you're going to use it a lot, I would probably suggest you get to a paid version.
Yeah.
Anyway, ultimately, you're probably going to get there. Anyways, you might as well try to figure out the ones you like.
Okay, so I'm going to move quicker because I want to get to the other two because they're pretty impactful. But so I grabbed a little bit of perfect pierogies here. Let's say I say to you guys, you really need keywords. You need a lot of keywords to generate search engine optimization. And you go, Phil, like that's what Kenny would say to me. This is all gobbledygook. Where do I get keywords from? So I grabbed the first paragraph and I stuck it into Word Hero and it generated me a bunch of keywords. So now I'm like, okay, great. So there's some keywords here. What the heck do I do with these, right? So let's say I buy into it and I say, these are great words that I need, okay? Now, I don't know what to do with them. So I'm gonna go to the other tool called Wordplay. And wordplay is like a long format, right? So let's say you don't know what you want to write. All these people are telling you, I got to write content. I got to drive some stuff. I got to write in. Somebody wants me to write an article. I don't know what the hell to write. So I just copied a bunch of keywords. If I stick them in here, I don't know if it'll take them all. It won't take all of them. So let me just, so you'll see down at the bottom, it only takes so many keywords. So I'm just going to keep removing some things until I get to the right space.
Get close. You're one more.
Okay, there we go. So I'm going to do this, right? So I stuck a bunch of keywords in here. I'm going to be a little bit more, I'd like my tone to be compassionate. And then I don't need this many, right? It's kind of a blog article I want to write. So I'm going to try and stick to about 800 words. So if I do that now and I hit next, what Wordplay will do is now make me something. It'll say, got it. You want me to write something based on those keywords. Let me go have a look and see what else there is. And it'll say, okay, so what do you want? Like, is this? And in this case, I'm going to go, you know what? This is fine. Like, this keeps me on task. Perfect pierogies. It's Canadian food manufacturing. It's frozen and it's Manitoba pierogi. So, okay, let's add that too. Okay, so I'm going to hit next now. And it's already going to go, hey, look at this. So Perfect Pierogies is a Canadian food manufacturing success story, right? So you could do that. Or I could say, I can choose any one of these. So I'm going to choose, this one because I kind of like this one, right? So the Perfect Pierogies, a Canadian culinary delight from a Manitoba-based food manufacturer. So I'm going to select that. And all of a sudden it's going to go, great, got it. So what do you want to do? And I'll say, of course, generate me an introduction. So let's do that. Just take a second. Look, you can see it in the background. And then it'll generate me 3 different versions. Okay, so now I can choose one. Or if I really hate these, I could come down here and write one, and it would iterate based on what I write, right? But I'm kind of being lazy about it. I don't really want to mess around, and I'm going to choose one for the sake of brevity. So I'm going to choose the first one. And then, so once I've chosen the first one, it'll be like, would you like to keep going? And I'll say yes. And then it'll say, here we go. So here's an outline. So let me generate you an outline. And then I'll tell you what your 3 paragraphs should sound like, right? And then you get to choose which ones you want. So it'll do that and then spit out at the bottom. So it'll kind of go, I suggest you use these 4 paragraphs, okay? And so if I hit plus, that's what it'll do. So I'll go, you know what? I don't really care. Nobody cares about, sorry, pierogi people. Maybe you care. We don't care about the history. I don't care about the history. They taste good. So that's all I care about. So what I care about is that they're mouth-watering flavors of Manitoba's pierogies. That's what I want to lead with. This is my demo, so I get to choose. Flavors that delight. I really love this. And then what I really want to finish with is Manitoba-based food manufacturer behind the pierogies. So delicious, amazing flavors. And then this is who we are. Come find us, buy our pierogies, right? So if I hit submit, it'll be like, are you sure? And I'll say, of course I'm sure. I want a 600-word article, and it'll generate me a 600-word article. Okay. So all of a sudden, pretty quick exercise that took us almost just 2 minutes to do. If I hit view, you'll start to see, kind of what this looks like. Okay. So also pretty interesting, but you can see how they're like entirely different in the way they work, right? One is guided. The other one is, I have no idea what I want to write, but somebody told me, or I know these are the keywords that I want to rank for, that I want SEO to drive for, and this is the way I'm going to go. Okay. Now,
That beauty of it, now you take the time and you go back and say, okay, now I'm going to word this the way I sound, so that people know that it's actually me and my company,
that's right,
my feel, etc. But at least conceptually, what would have taken probably 4 hours for a lot of us, maybe him only an hour, but for me, because I get into these mind, I lose sight. This gives me a thing. Okay, I can do this. I can actually write blogs. I can do stuff now.
Okay. Now we're going to just switch gears for a minute. The last two are videos. And so the first one I have is called recast.studio. Okay. So recast.studio. And so recast.studio is one where this one's really fun, right? So if you think of like, the reason I show this one is because when you are an entrepreneur and you're kind of like doing all these things, I think of the bakery, I think of pierogies and all of the other folks on here. The first thing probably people tell you is, oh, you should film that, right? Because if people saw you making it, they would come, and you're thinking, well, I made it, so they should come. And then two is, I am not a video person, I'm a baker, or I make pierogies. So you're killing me that I now got to be a video person and a baker and a pierogi maker, right? And then once you shoot it, the issues become, gosh, like I shot 20 minutes. What do I do with all this footage? I can't stick it all on reels, right? What am I supposed to do now? Make a YouTube channel, right? Like this is all crazy, right? So what I love about this is recast.studio helps you do exactly that. So what I've done is I've skipped a step here. I've uploaded some videos. Okay, so I'm just going to start a new project and show you what you can do. So I'm going to start a new project, and in my uploads, I loaded. Janae Oliver is a lady who owns a fruit stand in Kelowna.
Yeah.
Yes, in Kelowna,
Farm
right?
and fruit stand. She's really cool.
And we interviewed her in a podcast setting. So I'm just going to load her video. And so immediately you'll see Recast goes, what would you like to do with your video footage, right? And so I could put it in Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And of course, what I'm really after is Reels, the soon-to-be banned TikToks and Shorts, right? So I'm going to put it in here. And so you'll see when I choose this, the formats down below change. This is YouTube. Vimeo is kind of this long 16:9 format, right? So like a laptop screen. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter is square. And then Reels, TikTok, Shorts are kind of this, phone format, right? And so I'm going to go with a phone format. And then down below, you'll see all these templates. And I'm going to say, you know what? I think I want something simple. So I'm going to choose this one. And then I'm going to create a project. So it's going to load my project. And it'll just take a second here. And then what this thing does that's really cool is, let's say you filmed it, but you don't have transcription or anything. You just shot a regular video on your phone. This tool immediately transcribes your stuff. Okay, so it puts it on the side. So what you'll see on the side is a transcription of your video, and then you'll see the video actually here. Okay, and so and so you kind of have, so yay, I've got this, but this is 57 minutes long, right? So if I wanted to edit this, what I could do is I can either play this thing and trim it the way you would on a regular video, right? So if you've ever done video format, it's the thing that makes everyone run away, because you load the video, you play it, and then you have to use this little scissors to cut out sections that you want. You can make it bigger, smaller, but everyone gets lost in it and it makes you crazy, right? So for me, this is a podcast episode. For me to do this would take me, to find 5 or 6 clips would take me a couple of hours, right?
No, an hour to listen to it, write down where the minutes where you were, because that's how I used to do it, right?
That's right.
So it'd take them at least 2 run-throughs, a ton of paper, and then going back and fiddle farting around at 20 minutes, 23 seconds to 29 seconds.
That's right. That's right. So now what I can do is,
I never did this, so I'm actually really good. It didn't matter to me either way, but I do like that you can do this to get more content. So
I can edit based on the words, because let's say I'm not a video editor, but I know what words I want, right? So I can come in here and I can copy paste things, or I can highlight phrases, cut them out, and it'll actually snip down my video. The real magic though is here. Let's say I just want some shorts for, Reels and, those sort of things. I can hit this little highlight button on the side. They put it back.
They put it back.
I told them to put it back.
He was mad at it yesterday because they hit it somewhere
Yeah,
else.
software platforms change all the time because they can. So for brevity, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want 5 highlights that are 45 seconds long from this video. So go find them for me. And what it'll do is when I do that, it'll go into my footage and find me, at least 5 clips that are roughly 45 seconds. So it's a pretty smart robot in that it recognizes thresholds. So if the clip is only 38 seconds long, because that's all it's worthy of, it'll give me 38 seconds. If it has to be 55, it'll give me 55. So you'll see it kind of go, yeah, see here? So helicopter dreams meet farming. This is 47 seconds. Massive zucchini production, 39 seconds. Farm tours connect community, 33 seconds. Okay. So all of a sudden, it's also like quite smart about, finding relevant topics, right? So this is where the beauty of the AI comes in. It knows based on the way that we learn what's important to us as in terms of topics. So
Century-old probably.
So century-old family legacy is super cool, right? So that's, so let's say I want this one and I want to be able to put this out. I'm going to hit save and then I'm going to say clip. And then it'll go, sure, no problem. What format? So it still knows. And it says, are you still sure you want to use it in TikTok or Reels or whatever? Or do you want to go to Instagram? I'm going to say, I'm going to keep it here. I'm going to edit, create clip, and it'll open a new window for me. I'm going to edit clip. And then what it does is it literally clips it down to that little short spot. So all of a sudden I've got 47 seconds with Janae. Okay. The text in here is amazing because now I can go, got it. So the transcription is here. If I don't want to delete it, it's gone, right? If I want to leave it, yay. If I want to change what's in here, I can go in here and retype. And it'll produce it with whatever text I put in there. Okay. Or I can delete it. And then here, let's say I want my logo in here. I could replace this. I could put Janae's logo in here. I've got some preloaded ones. So I stick this Commerce Life in. I can even resize it until it kind of gets to the right, so all of a sudden, what would have taken you an hour 15 to do, we've just done it. We've done it in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay. So kind of a big deal. All right, so that's pretty cool.
And this will play now. So this will actually, because we not for anything, because you got to sometimes close the loop. Because
so this will play now, or you can download it, and then you can, it won't share it for you. It's not quite there yet, but you can now download it onto your phone, and then and they've thought of this too, which is kind of cool. Is Reels, for example, it's much easier to post from your phone than it is from a laptop. And so when I hit download here, it'll actually say, we'll notify you or we'll send you an email when it's done. So you can open the link from your phone and then you can download it, right? As opposed to you going, okay, wait, I just downloaded it on my computer. I got to figure out how to get it to my phone. Maybe I got to email it to myself. It's kind of done all that for you.
It's pretty cool. Like, if you look at even the transcript to the left, this one starts as well. I like before we even do anything, I tell Phil, let's get rid of that first top part. Let's just start with her saying what my goal is, because that sounds more natural.
Yeah.
So he could go and just delete that sentence. It'll fix it in the video, so he doesn't have to, because it'll start now with what my goal is. So that when you're reading, you think, well, I don't want to start with like she's half thought as well as like. And you think, I don't want to do that. Just give me what my goal is. We'll start there. Yeah. And you know what? I think we can end, after Okanagan Valley. Like, you can fiddle fart in there too, and it'll cut it down probably from 47 seconds. Maybe then it's 38 seconds or whatever.
Ron, you have a question, comment?
Is how is the mobile version of this?
There actually isn't a mobile version, I don't think. I use it on my desktop. I actually, I hadn't thought of that, but I haven't tried a mobile version.
I think it probably is more cumbersome.
It's a little bit
on this. I think that's one more setting. I don't think. Outside of small things, you're probably better off on a desktop, laptop.
You are better off in a desktop, but yeah. Okay, so I know it's 2, but I want to show one more tool. So if you got to drop off, this will be recorded, and then we will share the link to this. But there is another pretty cool tool that I'll show you. It'll take, if you have 5 minutes, this will actually finish in 5 minutes. So I'm going to just show you how to do a promo reel. So Yuka was the first to show up, so she gets the benefit of being the one who gets a promo reel. So I'm just going to copy and paste her URL, which you'll see why I need it in a second. So this tool is called Lumen 5. It's really great for building video. And, you know, so if I kind of go hit new video, I'm going to start a new video. And I'm going to just, so you get to pick a format, you know, something, you know, pretty or that you might like. I'm going to pick this gradient format. You know, and then I'm going to just build it in 16:9. So I'm going to build it so it kind of comes out on a laptop. Use this template. And then you'll see right away that it kind of does a whole bunch of things. I can do a talking head. I can do, but I'm going to kind of go old school and just go text on media. So this would kind of be like a PowerPoint format or like a, you know, kind of moving billboard format. Okay. So I'm going to say text on media. And then what I'm going to do is, you know, so immediately it says, okay, what do you want me to do with it? And I'll say, you know what? I don't want to tell you. I just want you to go find Yuka's About Us page and build me a video based on what's there. So immediately it goes out and it looks for what's on Yuka's page. And then immediately look at it, pulls in all these things, you know, and it, you know, kind of does this. And I go, great, thank you for doing that. I'd like you to use the content there and compose me a script. So I'm going to compose a script. And it's going to go away and build me a script. So while it's doing this in the minute and a half, if you were doing this in real life, you'd have to go out and find a script writer. You'd have to find an agency. You'd have to brief the agency. You'd have to find out what the quote might be. And then they'd start script writing. So in a minute and a half, I've done this. You'd need a week and a half to do this in real life. Okay. You know, nothing wrong with that, but most of us don't really have a week and a half to, you know, find and brief an agency. So here you can see it's already started. It's kind of broken it down into a bunch of things. It's given you an estimate that it's going to be 52 seconds. Okay. And then what I can do is go, you know what, that sounds good. Show me what it might look like in a storyboard or in a real kind of like script or stage format. So now it breaks it down into stages. And I'm like, okay, cool. I got it. I like it. Show me in video.
You wanted to. You don't
yeah. So every stage I can edit along the way.
Yeah. Looks good. Looks good.
So if I kind of push this along now, so in real life, if I continue that, is you'd write the script, you kind of look at it, you'd kick it around for probably a week or so, and then you get back to the agency and go, that sounds good. Draw me a storyboard, and they'd go away and draw a storyboard. But that would take probably another week and a half, right? Before they came back. Before they started to kind of queue up what the shoot might look like, right? So in this case, we've kind of taken 3 minutes, maybe even less. And what you'll find is like, so at this point, you're probably going to use more than the last 10, right? Because it's doing a lot of the work, but there are moments in here where you go, I don't like the pictures, or I don't like the transition, or I don't like these sort of things. So you can see it's kind of thinking its way through. So I'm going to let it just finish doing what it's doing.
Go with what it has.
Yeah, we're going to, for brevity, we're going to go with what it has. Okay, so it's kind of like, so you can see now that it's broken out a whole bunch of pages. It's kind of set what it would look like. And so I'm going to hit publish, and we'll see what it gets. But this stage here, you can come back every time. So I'm going to publish it. You might look at this and go, that sucks, right? You can go back and fix the template. You could change out pictures. You can change out the music. Music tends to be something that AI is not very good at the moment. So generally, we find lots of people kind of killing time, you know, scrolling through or trying to figure out royalty-free music that sounds like them. It's a killer, right? Because everybody says that doesn't sound like us, and you're like, good luck with that, right? Like you're gonna spend 5 hours looking for something that sounds like us. Yeah,
this is a month process before you start going down that rabbit hole.
That's right.
So if this does it in 3 minutes and you burn it out, find the tunes, like who cares?
Yeah,
that's not that bad.
Yeah. So here, it's just gonna take a minute for it to render. It's down to a minute. I'm just gonna stop sharing for a second and make sure I've got, it's actually finished. So I just want to make sure I share and I include sound. This one. Okay, that should do it. So you should be able to see it.
Even now, we're going to have to do some editing, change some pictures. This whole process might be an hour, where the old way, it's probably a month. and probably 5 to 10K.
All right. So at
Right?
5
With the
minutes
amount of
in,
people you
we're,
get
we're
involved
done
in.
now. I don't think it'll play the music for me. I think it's, but you can see the transition for sure. I'll actually send you guys the clip so you can see it. But you can kind of see how it's already started. You know, it's put together, you know, kind of transitional video.
And then for you, I mean, what you do is you start looking at obviously that young man, the other women aren't you insert picture here, maybe it's a picture of but you don't start tomatoes and things in your place, get rid of this one. But you can do whatever you want, but at least you got that base where that 80% time was not somebody else. Insert proper Japanese baby here. Insert picture of my place here.
Okay. So that's Lumen 5. It's super quick to use. It is kind of this really kind of easy to use format. But I'll send you the video. I think when we do these shares, the sound is hit or miss. But you know, but that's kind of like the kind of 5 tools that we wanted to show, or the 4 tools we wanted to show you. You know, kind of pretty important kind of tools that just help you shorten up what it takes for you to be able to get to, you know, be able to write good copy, to be able to send, you know, kind of great search engine optimization tools out so you can drive traffic. And then the last 2 in terms of video content, we just feel like they're game changers because it allows you to just not be a video, you know, it allows you to be an entrepreneur. It allows you to be able to, you know, kind of get back to what you do, but still be able to utilize videos in a way that is fairly easy to use, right? So we are definitely out of time. So I will stop there. Thank you for joining us here. We will stick around if you have questions, but we also know that it's lunch hour. So if you guys need to go, you
Plus
can
we have
go.
a lunch meeting we have to get to. But we've been here for like 10, 15 more minutes.
We're here for another 10, 15 if you guys. So let me stop sharing for a minute, and then let me just do you do personal training programs for companies? No, not really. But what you guys need to know about us is we're kind of around all the time. So just call us, email us, whatever you like. We'll show you what we can show you. So
the hard part to this one, like for everybody,
Claudette, you're welcome. Yeah.
I think what we find is by the time you get to this part, you really need to make sure you had a lot of like we've been teaching 2-day courses with BC Food and Bev and the Ministry of Agriculture for the last 2. We've done 4 sessions in the last 2 weeks.
We've been doing what feels like forever.
It feels like, and then we did it in November. So this will be our 8th one next week, and then we're done with this one. But really, these tools really become much more powerful when you do get your foundation down, where you have a true mission and vision, and you do know what your keywords are. You know who you're talking to. You know where these people are. You know what they like. Then the tools become so much easier. Like, so with all these tools, very vague, very wide, very open queries or questions can just throw you down rabbit hole on rabbit hole on rabbit hole. It'll save you a lot of time per rabbit hole, but it's a trillion rabbit holes. So really, if you know, when you're talking like a personal training program, what we typically do is try to get you set up really well up front, so you're not wasting a lot of time later, because we'll always tell you, is that part of your mission and vision? Are those the keywords you would use? Well, no, are those the keywords you're going to use? Is that your mission? We always get you back, and then you go and you get less rabbit hole. Is that fair? Like sort of the mentality?
Very, very, very. Yeah.
And James, please do share with us any feedback, because we do plan on holding more of these sessions like throughout the year.
We love doing these. As long as Michael and Jennifer like us, which sometimes we're not too sure, but we think we might be okay. We love doing it.
And so give us feedback about like, hey, you know what? I'd like to have a 3-hour session that focuses in on this or whatever. And we can kind of figure out these things, that kind of iteration around this. This was really meant to be kind of an intro to like, hey, you're thinking about AI and you want to use it. I think there's so many of these tools out. All of us feel kind of overwhelmed. And so, you know, I think having Kenny and Phil just sort of say, hey, here's how we use it, and
Yeah.
here are some of the techniques. Is just at least gets you sort of playing around and practicing with those. And so we're happy to take that feedback and then come back with something else.
And to Michael's point, we truly use this. I own brands. I have my own brands. We have our own brand. Like we do have this Commerce Life brand. We use these tools because he's, Joe Techie. We use the ones he likes, which is what we showed you today. There are others that you may like better. It doesn't matter. It's really to get you some time back. We have to sweep floors. We have to do the books. We have employees we have to worry about. We have to do sales. We have to do marketing. We have to worry about COGS. We have to worry about orders. Like there's so many things to do. And these ones tend to take so much time. These tools can give us some time back. That's what we're shooting for.
Roy,
Roy did.
you've got your hand up.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks you for that. That was really, really cool. We're definitely part of the Imagine Northern group in the north, of a couple of northern communities where we're going to be doing some training on how to, quickly post social media things and whatnot. And we've got to learn, the differences between just doing something on the native apps like Facebook and so forth. And so I was listening out for that kind of thing, and I see, Facebook does have a way of like chopping little clips, and because I do a long form podcast as well. Then yesterday I tried to turn that into a reel, and it came out with no sound, and then it wasn't working. It's so much easier to maybe produce it separately, and then it just upload it as a freshly done video. So I'm going to try to.
Roy, I feel your pain.
I don't
You call me anytime. I feel your pain. So 100%.
Well, I've got to teach some people this, and I'm going to be like, I don't want to teach them that the net doesn't work on the day. As you know, that's the key of podcasting. Make sure nothing works when you press go live. But this is really, I was really going. I'm going to look at things like using that recast, because if it can find a couple of highlights quickly, and then put the transcripts up there, because that's what people need to look at that one. Just keep them entertained for a few seconds while you're watching the thing. And with the Lumen 5, is that to create storyboards, or to actually is that creating AI video, or where's it getting that AI footage from? And then
it's all AI video.
So then can you go back and put the real people in there as well, or is that a whole lot of hassle, or is that easy?
Yeah, no. Literally, it's a back button. So it produces a video so you can have a look at it. So generally, I make them, and then I'll do that. I'm a little more finicky. So there are moments where I'll go, I don't really like that format, or I don't like that slide. You can go back in and mess with the slide format, and then you can mess with the picture in it. You can, whatever you want to do. You change music, like all those sort of things, So like in Yuka's case, we'd go back and go, are these all the right pictures that you want in there or not, right? Like, are there close-ups of, kind of cream buns that we absolutely have to have in here? Let's figure out where those slide into that match with the messaging. You can do all of that, because that allows you to be able to customize that the way you want it to. So.
It's funny what it even forced me to do, like on our brand, when we ran my brand through it, we were kind of looking at thinking, well, it's pulling these AI pictures, because you know what? Maybe I just need to go back to the webpage. Maybe I should have just a little different or better content. So not because I want this to pull that, but it made me start thinking that, clearly when it goes there, it says, well, I don't know what you have that's really good. I'll just make my own. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe I should go back and just make my own and have it on the webpage. So when you do get there as an individual, like it's even more clear to you as to what I'm trying to do. Maybe a better picture of me, not that anybody wants to see that, but that kind of thing. I just think it's really cool. Like it spins out of control. Right? It's so much fun.
Yeah. I know.
It's the base of marketing. Like you really need to know who you are, what you're doing, who you're doing it for, maybe who your personas are, etc. Like you really want to be buttoned down so that you don't go off topic or off script, and you don't get the benefits of the SEO of doing all this fun stuff, right?
Okay. Well, thanks again. And I guess I got to choose my next rabbit hole one at a time. But yeah, thanks.
What's your podcast?
What's a podcast?
It's called Churchill Chats. My channel's called Churchill Entertainment. I'm in Churchill. I just sort of started it, and we're talking to different bands and things that are coming here for Winterruption and whatever happens in the future. So yeah, Churchill Entertainment. Thanks, guys. Yeah, appreciate your time today.
Yeah, of course. No problem. Anytime. Yeah.
Churchill Chats.
That's cool. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anything we can? We really appreciate you guys coming. This is one that we actually love to do. we could probably do this for another like hour at least, but we do appreciate you guys coming for this. And
Yeah,
then,
I mean, I know we took an hour and 15 of your time. I'm sorry if it was a little longer than what was planned, but I appreciate you sticking around too. So
yeah, go ahead.
I just actually want to say thank you because I use a Canva or like something I already know, so I didn't know most of the stuff, and I reel by myself and for Instagram it takes more than 2-3 hours. So because I didn't
know, trust me, we know.
Yeah, it makes me crazy, right? Because you got great content, but you're like, it's stuck on my phone. I don't know what to do with it, right? I don't have time for that, right?
Yeah, so it's like totally like 2-3 hours, but I cannot work 2-3 hours in the same time. So it's kind of a 1 week after I can post it finally because like 10 minutes at a time. So it's really helpful. And then also I have one question that so definitely I use this what I run today. Like for example, I'm looking for packaging for the product right now, but I don't have much skill to design myself, but I know something in my head. I have to draw to explain how it looks like. Do you have some AI tool that like I can do like a kind of idea like this, for example? Because I can show only this one.
Go back to the page.
I want to sell Japanese cheesecake, or maybe someone I can see like a beets product. It's have an idea for the product, but packaging is very important to attract customer.
Right.
Do you have something that helps?
Yeah, it depends on how you want to do it. So if you use, do you use like a ChatGPT now, or you use something like that? Nothing at all, right?
Nothing. I only have use a Canva.
Okay, so one is so Canva is not very good for packaging. One is make sure you have your drawings, right? So keep your drawings, because with software, if you create inside of like a Canva for free, you'll lose control of your drawings, right? So make sure you have the originals. It's kind of like a trademark.
Shoot a picture.
You want to make sure that you have copies and things like that. You can load, if you load your drawing into ChatGPT or Claude, for example, the tool I use is this one, Claude.ai. You can use that. If you upload your drawing, it will help you kind of change, kind of iterate your packaging. But I can find you, there's quite a few, kind of packaging tools, if you will, in AI. I can send you some for sure. There's quite a few, but I'll look to see which ones are kind of, not as many people use them, so it's a little bit hard to keep track of which ones stay alive and which ones shut down. So, but I'll have a look and see what I can find for you.
We also have, and
I'll send you a note, or I'll send it through Jennifer, so you get the information. But I'll include it in the links and all that kind of stuff for sure. I can do that.
Thank you so much.
You can on some of these too, like on even like when you get into design and things like that, because you have to watch die lines, etc. You might want to pick on Michael and Jennifer, because I'm sure they have in their resource pool graphic designers or designers. We have people as well that I probably in some of these situations I'm more inclined to give some of that stuff to maybe more of a professional, for lack of a better word, and some of the other stuff that I don't want to pay the money. It might be better off to pay the money. Do you know what I mean? Like I just, because sometimes what we see and what we think, unless you really have a great marketing plan lined up and you really know what we were saying before, who you talk to, who you're selling to, it can be very personal and it doesn't necessarily do well for branding, but that type of thing, right?
Ananda Kumar, for customized cold emails, I would use Word Hero. It'll help you craft the email that you want, and then you can load it into, if you're using MailChimp or any of those sort of things, you can definitely do that. Or if you're using Claveo or one of those tools, that works great. I've not used one for calls that I've really liked. They just don't.
We've done it for email newsletters, though. Right? We've
done it for emails and things like that, so we can set you up for a call. Right. But the call itself, like they do have some tools out there, but they're not very good. And then almost everybody can tell the AI portion of those.
Works
So,
really well if you want to do
yeah.
an email newsletter, because you're diving deep into the customers you already have, as opposed to cold calling, because you probably have to do a lot more work on that. But they definitely work for email newsletters and things like
But
that.
the wordplay or word hero would definitely
100%.
you can use for cold emails. It'd be really great,
I
actually.
think Ashley has some. And then
Yeah, and
we do have to
Ashley?
go because I got to get.
Yes, sorry, I know we're going late.
No worries. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
we'll do. You
Okay,
guys
just
contact us later. We do exist outside of this virtual world. We are around.
A generic one for you. So aside from just copying and pasting into a query window, are you able to link to a document or even a folder of documents?
Yeah. So in all of these, okay, so the answer is yes, but I wouldn't really want you to, right? Because the way you can do this, all of them have integrations to Google Drives, for example.
Mhm.
So if you have OneDrive, Copilot will integrate to OneDrive. Copilot is the Microsoft AI tool. If you bought a laptop in the last 6 months, it has Copilot. It's the little swirly button on my laptop. It's on the bottom left side or the bottom right side. But I never touch it, and I don't want to touch it because I don't really like Copilot. But Microsoft Copilot is the AI tool. If you use OneDrive, it'll integrate to OneDrive. So you could literally go, here's my OneDrive. I authorize access, and then anything I want in there, I can now pull straight into my AI tool. Okay, so you can do that. Google Drive is the same. It'll integrate to ChatGPT. It'll integrate to to Claude. It'll integrate to almost anything you want. I just hesitate because the integration always sounds good at the time, and then if you forget that it's there, if you turn off let's say you pay for it because right now you're doing a lot of cold emails, but next month you're not going to do them, and you forget, your entire Google Drive winds up going onto the LLM, the open source. So that's the only thing that I kind of don't love about those is those sort of things. So
Gotcha. Thanks.
Mac actually hasn't published an AI version. So they've talked about it, but they don't have one yet. They're not integrated with MacBooks yet. Because Microsoft and OpenAI have a very close relationship, and so Copilot is kind of like their version, and they jumped on this. If you notice, like with iPhones and with MacBooks, they haven't been quick to jump on the AI tool. It's been the Android side of things that's gone really crazy, right? Like you can get it on all of your Google platforms and things like that. So, okay. Thank you. Honestly, thank you for the time. Thank you for staying overtime. I will make sure I get all the links and all that stuff to Jennifer so she can send those out. She has the deck. I'll make sure you've got the right deck, Jennifer. And then I think like this is being recorded, so at some point it'll make its way onto YouTube as well. So we'll make sure that happens as well.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
No,
you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Okay,
guys. Have a great weekend.
have a great weekend. Bye, guys.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Welcome. Bye.